Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Farmer James Mountainside Beekeeping. I thank you folks for checking in again. I've been away, I've been busy as a bee, and man, look at all this pollen. So much pollen came off the trees yesterday that I could write my name on this truck. Man, look at this pollen. I mean, I've never seen that much pollen before in a long time, folks. I mean, pollen just falling off the trees, just like snow. Falling off the trees so much, I thought it was dust particles coming off of whatever. But it's a nice mountain day, but actually not really that nice. Kind of cloudy. I've been busy, very busy, working with honeybees because of all this pollen and also this flow. Everything is happening here in Vermont, in the mountain, very fast. And it's been raining every week, every weekend. But we're right in the middle of our dandelion flow. And you could see dandelions are everywhere. So I've been busy working with the flow. I've been also busy trying to enjoy the spring. The trees are in bloom. A lot of bee activity. A lot of stuff going on in the yard. A lot of changes going on in the bee yard. Also a lot of changes going on in bees around the US of A, including my bee studies. So that's why I've been away. I haven't been doing videos every week. I apologize. For you folks who've been paying attention to what I do, thank you very much for tuning in to Farmer James Vermont Mountainside Beekeeping. I appreciate you tuning in. I apologize for not keeping up with you folks. Trying to help you become as successful as I am as a beekeeper. And I'm just trying to keep up with the bees. So right now in Vermont, things were behind. Things were behind quite a bit. So I basically had to catch up. So in catching up, I had to do my splits, which were a couple weeks behind. And I had to make a lot of splits from the survivor colonies because they were growing exponentially. And they also were creating a honey bound situation on their own because they didn't really eat up a lot of their stores. And my lack of experience with these kind of genetics, surviving winters where they're not eating a lot, I was like, wow, this is amazing. This year, I'm going to just make sure I have 2 deeps instead of 2 deeps in a super because that's what I left them with, and that was too much honey. So during the flow, this dandelion flow, the spring flow, they became kind of honey bound because they were filling in that nectar. And things are just blooming. As you can see, the hostas behind me are going to town. So, and also the trees in the colonies are going to town. And that's what I'm doing, trying to keep up. Like I said, we got dandelions going everywhere. And the dandelions are a good sign for us because it's the beginning of the dandelion flow. And the dandelion flow is the beginning of basically what I would call splitting the hive. So I like to kind of split my hives on the flow. So I'm done with the protein patties, all of that kind of stuff. So if you, or I'm catching up basically. So if you tuned in last time, I was feeding. Right now I'm not really feeding anything because as you can see, the dandelions are a sign of that. And also that pollen that I showed that came off these trees are, man, it was like snowing pollen. So the bees are going very well. And I've changed the whole bee scenario in the bee yard. So in the bee yard, you have hives that I've decided to break up. And I've made splits off of the front row, okay? So the 2 deeps in the middle are hives that have let's start out with the one hive on the left is a queen with the medium, because she started out small versus the one next with the two deeps. The two deeps is a split with the main queen, main colonies, and to the right of her with the brown super, the two supers, that's my split. On the very far left, over here, yep, very far left is what I started to, is my pollen hub. And that pollen hub is to support the nukes I got, but they're not really nukes. I basically ordered a queen, made it queen with bees, so ordered packet bees, Carniolans that came for Oliver Eyes. So they were a good, nice amount of bees, and I like that. But man, the pollen was so plentiful, folks. It's just got dust on everything. I mean, just everything's pollen loaded. So the bees I have in my bee yard over there have been great bees so far, but a little antsy because I've had to go into these colonies. I've had to also break those colonies down, and in the very far back are double nukes that I got going. So the double nukes basically are all those package bees that I placed in there to allow them to get comfortable, allow them to get acclimated to their surroundings and foraging. Then about also let that queen lay in the comb that I placed in those double nukes to see how they are laying and get used to that pattern. As they start to grow, I'll allow them to grow vertically by adding more double deep nuke boxes, or double deep boxes with deep frames on top of the cavities. And as we walk around, I'll show you those cavities and I'll show you those bees and how they're adjusting, how they're doing. I do have my bee suit just in case they're acting up, because I've been breaking hives, breaking colonies over the last 2 weeks, so that's why I haven't made videos. And again, thank you folks for tuning in to check me out and to hopefully let you know what I've been doing to help you do something with your bees. So if you're in Vermont, you're breaking colonies because the flow is on. If you're just dealing with overwinter bees, you're adding more and more space to those bees, or you're using those bees to make splits, which I am doing. And I'll also be putting together a cell builder because I'll be grafting from a couple colonies that I really like based on all the traits that we like, from temperament to foraging, overwintering, dealing with mites because I use essential oil mite treatment, and so forth. So anyway, let's walk around the bee yard and I'll show you how these hives are doing, and we'll talk about what's going on with the colonies. All right. So yeah, thanks for tuning in with me. If I act a little clumsy, that's just because I'm trying to adjust to this new camera style stuff and talking about the beekeeping that we're doing. So like I said, I made some double nukes. I also made some 5-frame nukes. So if you look in my yard, you're going to see an arrangement where I have pro nukes. So on my pro nukes, I have queens that have overwintered. All those queens that are in the pro nukes are basically overwintered queens that are not really building up too fast. I've noticed that they are the pure Russians that I ordered last year from a Russian breeder down south. But my Carniolans are building up very strong, and they are in most of the deep hives. This one hive with the orange, I haven't yet to break into, but I will. So I'm going to suit up. So basically, long story short, I'm going to try to get into that. And so I'm suiting up because the bees are starting to fly around. So yeah, let's just take a look about what's going on. So you'll see I have these bees that are in the pro nukes like I was talking about. And man, look at all this honey. I'm going to turn off the charger. So I have my double, they're doing well, those double deeps, like I said. in these hives, that's the main queen. That's the last hive that I'm breaking down. Okay, folks, so, yep, you see that the 5-frame boxes are also with different bees. These are actually those 3 5-frame nuke boxes are from one queen. That one queen is in the middle next to the pro nukes. Those pro nukes have bees that I am just getting together and used to, and these bees I need to double check on, and I'm going to crack open. I really am not a big fan of the pro nukes. I'm not sure what's going on, so I got to change the entrances and all of those. But these are the double deeps of all the California bees. And those California bees are what I just got for Oliver Raz, and those are the double nukes I was talking about. And so I'm just wrapped up in a suit just because they were acting kind of ornery the other day. And I get it because, they were kind of crammed. But all of my double nukes are colored so that it describes to me how each one is doing. And also with orientation, each of the colonies are now doing and have basically honed into their home. So I tell you, I think they're doing pretty good. I probably will do some rebalancing of these colonies because sometimes you'll have where in these double nukes, some of the bees might drift and go into one hive versus the next. So after about a day or two, I'll probably, figure out that, all right, I need to make some balancing. So I'll take some things out of one nuke and then I'll put it in over. That's the great thing about these double nukes and package bees being mostly nurse bees in those packages, which is great. Oliver Raz sent me, and I did know there's a lot of nurse bees, but as you can see, there are a lot of foragers in those hives as well. So I just recently also made some splits of the colonies that are over there. So where you have the purple deep versus the yellow deep versus the one that is waxed. So in those hives, the far one that has a pink deep bottom is just basically, folks, a colony that I had to consolidate versus the purple deep hive, which I just made a split into because it was growing exponentially based on this flow. So the flow has been going pretty strong up here in Vermont. So that's why I've made that split. And those hives are just loaded with honey from the die-outs, also from honey that they did not eat. So it's saving me from having to feed. So I'm not dealing with any sugar syrup or any of that. I'm feeding back what they made, which is really helping out these California bees, which are acclimating to Vermont pretty good. And I'm trying to just use pure Carniolans. So that's what these are. So they're 8 packages and 4 double nukes. So basically that makes it also a great transition for me to manage these bees as they build up. But in the next 10 days, I'll probably transfer those into a full frame, 8-frame deep, because most of those boxes you see in my bee yard are 8-frame boxes. And that's what I like working with. Based on the genetics and the results that I got, I probably will only work with these 8 frames, and I will probably only work with 2 deeps through the winter, just because as I overwinter what I see in my results, the bees pretty much manage very well what they eat and what their stores are. So yeah, I'm just going to walk on this side of the bee yard. And yeah, you can probably take a look of all the different stuff that is going crazy in the bee yard that is sprouting. That finally the rain has let up to allow the bees to forage and allow the bees to grow, to allow the bees to do their thing. So that's 2 good benefits of what's going on there. It's helping, everything is starting to grow. Everything is starting to help those colonies grow. There's a lot of brood, so that's another thumbs up. I'm not worried about issues with the brood. The brood's pearly white. I'm not worried about mites. I'm seeing no mites from The drone comb that was broken up when I did my separating of the double deeps, or not the double deeps, just the regular deeps, folks. I'm sorry. So separating these two deeps or separating a medium, because some of those queens laid up into the mediums. I noticed a lot of drone brood or drone that has already matured and laid, and a lot of that drone is already it's showing just great signs of great health, great nourishment. I did give them a small essential oil treatment just to get them going along, just in case. Again, welcome, folks. This is Farmer James, Mountainside Beekeeping. Thank you, folks, for taking time to visit in. If you have any questions about what am I doing with my bees, what I need to do with my bees, how you like my bee setup, give me some ideas on setting up my bee yard better, that would be great. Dandelions everywhere. I'm walking through the dandelions. We got bees feeding on the dandelions. My carniolans are feeding on it. As you can see, the dandelion flow is good. So yeah, folks, I'm a no mow kind of guy in May. So no mow May is my motto. I try to share it with people in my neighborhood so my bees can enjoy all of what Mother Nature gives them, and that's one of the great things about being a beekeeper, is sharing that knowledge. Yeah, so she's joining these dandelions. She's gathering. She's letting me know that, she's getting all of what she needs. She's going to bring back to the hive. She's going to share it with the other ladies, and letting them know, hey, things are great. Things are going good. The plants are growing good in the bee yard. You remember me, folks, saying starting your flowers, starting your plants, starting to get things to grow so that the bees can enjoy a variety in your bee yard. I try to bring a lot of different things into my yard. I got my hosta gardens going over there. I got hostas, I have irises going. So I have a variety pack. I also got a couple fruit trees, and also they have their mountain trees. So I appreciate the bees. This is a strawberry bed that I'm building. So the strawberries will be here. I'll plant that also with some borage and some other different edible plants that I could add to the salads and, enjoy the bees. But I'm veiled up just to kind of protect me. But the bees are kind of adjusting, actually, a lot better than they have been the last couple days. As you can see, folks, they aren't really too disturbed from that split. The main hive, as you see, is that purple deep in the middle. So they're really doing pretty good on their adjustment, because I did break that up. So that purple deep hive is doing pretty good. You can see based on the girls, they don't seem too troubled about finding what they need. Also over here, back again, down below, you'll see I have that one little small deep. I'm just using that as a pollinator hut, but Mother Nature, you see on my truck cap, there's a lot of pollen coming from these trees. Pine pollen, pretty much, folks, but pine pollen is still a lot of pollen. But yes, this is Farmer James, Mountainside Beekeeping. Dandelions are going well. The bees are doing well. I just turned off the power. The bears have not attacked. That's all great. So that's very good and very well. I'm just going to go double check those pro nukes. I don't like the way that the activity is happening on them. I don't really like the pro nuke entrances. But anyway, it's not what I really like. I just want to make sure the bees are doing right. So I made splits off of these main colonies. Again, the one hive I've taken to where now I have one hive down as a medium and a deep. The two hives that are the blue hive and those two mediums are basically a split. So a lot of the hives are splits where I'm leaving double deeps on because of the flow, so they're going to build up exponentially. And then in another 2 weeks, I'll be hopefully having my queen cells that I'll place in some other nukes, and then I'll make splits off of those. Just because a lot of people didn't get overwinter nukes, and I didn't get nukes I did order to add. So I'm making a lot of splits. That's why you see nuke boxes everywhere, folks. Yeah, if you have any questions, you have any comments, anything you want to say, not say, that Farmer James Beekeeping, I'm just veiled up. You don't see my face, but hey, you hear my voice, and I'm just, just showing you what my bees are looking like, how they're flying. I'm not really going into the boxes, just because, the weather has been really not good up here. It's been raining. Today's a cloudy day. It's been raining almost every weekend. And I've been stuttering every weekday. So between doing my honeybees, between doing the schools, it's been really a challenge just to show you how I'm taking care of my bees. But you can see the results. All right, the bees are flying. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 16, 17, 18 spring nukes that I've started. So 18 spring nukes, folks, plus 7 overwintered bees. So that, I think that's a pretty good start out to try to reach my goal of 50 colonies and then 50 going into overwinter nukes. So again, folks, I got your pro nukes. I got 2. I got also nukes in boxes. That's 4, 5, 5 in the back row, 10. We got 3 more, 5, and then the 8 in the back are basically, our spring nuke. I don't really think the packages are going to get any honey. They may get that fall honey because we have a really great fall honey flow in Vermont. So, yeah, folks, this is Farmer James Mountainside Beekeeping. You see some colored boxes. You saw some wax dip boxes. I mean, I like my colored boxes. The white dip boxes, folks, you see are boxes that I bought because I got grant money. I write a lot of grants. I do a lot of writing. As you know, if I didn't mention, I write for the local newspaper. I have columns every other week about beekeeping and what I do in Vermont. So yeah, I'm rambling. I hope not rambling too much. I mean, I love to show you folks how I got all these things going. I really would have loved to have shown you folks how I put my bee packages into double nukes to make my colonies grow. But if you have any questions about it, I will try to answer any of the questions you have about what I'm doing with my bees. I'm taking care of my bees, and I love beekeeping. I love this time of year. So thank you, folks, for paying attention to me for a little bit. If you have any questions about Farmer James Mountainside Beekeeping, just let me know. Again, thank you for taking the patience and listening to me talk about my bees. Hey, I don't need to feed them or take care of them. I already did a little essential oil mount treatment. But yeah, thank you folks for tuning in to Farmer James Mountainside Beekeeping. Send out your questions. I can answer them immediately. I've just been away playing with my bees, helping them grow. Farmer James Mountainside Beekeeping. Be well.